the esoteric worldviews. So it appears that more unrest and violence and revolution is sweeping the world. Lately, it has been rocking the capital of Libya, Tripoli, after all of the eastern parts of the country have already been captured by rebel forces, by people who are intent on throwing the regime out of power, the Gaddafi regime, Colonel Gaddafi regime, which has been in power for the last 40 years, since it usurped power from the previous king, King Idris, in a bloodless military coup led by the colonel. What we're seeing right now is a worldwide revolt against the situation at hand, a worldwide friction between the entrenched status quo promoting individuals of every sect and every country, and the people who are tired of being stomped on, smashed on, and trivialized and treated like serfs. So a good friend of mine commented that he believes that this is part of 2012, or not even part of 2012, but this is like the mainstay of 2012. This is what we're going to see happening in 2012 and continuing to increase and happening. I mean, there's revolutions all the way across the Arab world. There's revolts in Greece. There's huge protests even in America. I saw recently there was protests in Mexico, and this is definitely all part of one friction between the status quo and new movement of energy and ideas and people. So right now in Tripoli, what we're seeing is Gaddafi holed up in a bunker-like compound that he lives on in the middle of his capital city, which goes to tell you something about what kind of a person that he is, that he has to live in the middle of a bunker surrounded by a military base in his capital. Who is this person really? Is this guy really some kind of, agent for some other power, I read somewhere that his mother was Jewish, and you could find some kind of video of his aunt talking from Israel or something. I read that somewhere on YouTube. So, is this like some kind of like person who's not working for the Libyan people, obviously, but who's covertly on the side of these great demons that he pretends to be so vehemently against, but who he really, who is really allowing of, really. Right now, the situation is such that protesters have captured military bases in Libya. They've captured weapons. They've captured pretty much everything except the city of Tripoli, and maybe a couple other, cities up there on the northern part of Libya. And they're advancing towards Tripoli with weapons, screaming as they do, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but God, and whatnot. Allahu Akbar, God is good, and Muhammad Rasulullah, I forgot how that goes. Muhammad is messenger. Which brings up another couple interesting set of ideas. Is this what the purpose of the Mohammedan religion has been all along? To create this kind of dynamic in the world? Who knows? But one thing we can say is that the violence is getting closer and closer to Tripoli, and thousands of people have died already. Libya got in huge trouble for actually using freaking planes on his own people, for bombing and strafing at the protesters with military aircraft, which is just crazy. 2 military aircraft already defected to Malta, and the pilots there are seeking military asylum. And I saw another report where 2 military aircraft were purposefully crashed while the pilots ejected out of them to avoid having to strafe their own people. How can you justify that, being ordered to go over your own capital city and strafe protesters just because the people are sick of being trampled on by some despot? You can't justify that. The military didn't train to squash their own people. The military trained to protect their people. So, and that's what we're seeing happening right now. Mass mutiny. The military is mutinying against Libya. Gaddafi is going on TV like a fucking madman, blaming everybody, blaming the West, blaming this person and that person. Actually saw a recent news report. He tried to blame Osama bin Laden of all people. So, who is this? Who's Gaddafi? Whose side is he on? Is he on some kind of like, he's like the only person in the Arab world who is on like the side of righteousness? He certainly thinks that, or has exhibited that that's the way he thinks from various statements that he'd made over the past, like, oh, I am the king of kings of Africa, and the mullah of all Muslims in the Arab world. This is the kind of guy that we're dealing with, but not for long, because as it appears right now, he's about to come out of power and be overrun in a militaristic, violent revolution by his own people, because he has vowed to fight to the very last drop of blood. And so, sir, that is what you shall get.
Allah.